I'm going to share this. Okay. Share. Wait a second. All right, mic check, mic check. All right, guys. So we're here live outside the federal courthouse where today, this is day 5 of the trial, defamation trial of our rap superstar Cardi B. I'm joined today with my legal correspondent, Britney Dobbins, and we're about to give you an update on what occurred today. 1 minute, please.
Hello, everybody.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Britney Dobbins, attorney Britney Dobbins. Britney's been in the courtroom with myself, and she has had an opportunity to watch the case. Let's go right into it. The first witness for the plaintiff today was Dr. Sherry Blake. Can you discuss her testimony?
Yeah, she was the psychologist that treated Cardi B. She began treating her around 2018. She testified today and was flown out to New York to do an assessment on Cardi B because her management had noticed that she was experiencing lots of symptoms of sleeplessness, depression. She was unable to focus. She didn't want to work. So she was going through some things that were very concerning to her management. She basically testified that over the course of time when between the time from when she first met with Cardi B in 2018 to when she met with her again in 2020, she had noticed a significant decline in Cardi B's condition, had mentioned that she noticed that Cardi B was starting to feel suicidal. She recommended a treatment plan for Cardi B. She did a risk assessment, and she really did a really good job of creating an analogy for the jury that it seemed that they were very receptive to and equated emotional distress as something that people don't really appreciate. So she equated it to an individual being stabbed several times. So she equated each defamatory statement to Cardi B being stabbed but bleeding internally. And it was very visual and very graphic testimony that I think was very impactful for the jury.
Well, would you say that the analogy was powerful because she used the courtroom as an example, as someone coming in the court and getting stabbed, and how someone would immediately render aid to them, and then she went into to talk about that was an external reaction to the injury, but she also pointed out that whenever Tasha K would make a post about Cardi B, it was an internal stab to her.
So to back it up, the analogy was very, very visual. So she did give the example of someone rushing into the courtroom and stabbing somebody and how everybody would react and rush over to give assistance because they're bleeding externally. You can see the damage. And she was saying a lot of times when you're dealing with emotional distress, the the ramifications are not visible. They're not like blood on the outside, but she made the analogy and the comparison that there's still blood, there's still damage. It's just as severe, but it's on the inside and it's not something you can see. And she also made the correlation that because of the severity of that it contributed to Cardi B's condition of feeling very helpless, feeling very depressed, feeling like she wasn't getting assistance for what she was going through.
Before we go any further, let's briefly talk about the doctor's qualifications and you believe it came across to the jury when she went into qualifications. Can you talk a little bit about qualifications?
I mean, typically whenever, this was expert testimony that the plaintiffs opened with today. So typically whenever you're dealing with an expert, there's a significant amount of time that goes into qualifying them and letting the jury sort of hear their qualifications and what makes them qualified to make the assessments that they did. They spent a significant amount of time doing that today, talking about how the psychologist had been practicing for over 30 years. She had been on several TV stations and had gained several awards for her psychology, basically letting the jury know that she has been deemed an expert on several platforms and by several individuals throughout her career, which made her credible to speak on the issue. I think there were other things like she had created a treatment plan for hurricane survivor victims. She had done things from
Hurricane Harvey.
Hurricane Harvey, that's
Right.
correct. And she had done several developmental psychology related things. She was very familiar with coping mechanisms, which she testified to that Cardi B's coping mechanisms from 2018 to 2020 during the course of the defamation had severely deteriorated. So she definitely backed up her assessment with her qualifications.
In one part of her testimony, she spoke about traveling to New York City, and I believe it was the London hotel, and she described when she walked in the room how Cardi was. Can you talk about that part?
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't confident about the hotel location, but she did specifically testify to the fact that when Cardi B's management reached out to her, they said that she was experiencing what she would describe as an episode. And when she arrived at the hotel to do an assessment with Cardi B, Cardi was laying in the bed, stretched out across the front. She seemed very lethargic. She expressed that she just didn't want to do anything. She didn't have any interest in anything, and that she just wanted to sleep, and that she had been sleeping for several days at the time that she had seen her.
You as an attorney who have actually litigated defamation cases, how would you measure this particular witness's testimony as it was being conveyed to the jury?
I think her testimony was very effective in the sense that she was able to, again, create the imagery for the jury. I think that, not only do I have a background as an attorney, my mother actually is a psychologist and does this type of testimony for cases. And so there is it's hard sometimes to convey to the jury what emotional distress is like and how the impact is for the individual experiencing at the time, and how it is severe, it is traumatic, it does have sometimes financial, sometimes physical ramifications. And she did a very good job of illustrating how the depression, how the anxiety, how the stress of the whole situation sort of got worse over time, and how it's continuing on till this day.
The doctor also testified that Cardi B didn't want to sue her at first. Do you recall that testimony? Can you talk about that? How she said Cardi didn't want to sue her, she just wanted to stop doing what she was doing?
Yes, there is significant testimony about how Cardi wasn't, she really just wanted the defamation to stop. So she was trying to explore several other options before actually going to a lawsuit. She was trying to take on the burden herself, which actually was a contributing factor to one of the recommendations that the psychologist made. She told her to allow her legal team to sort of take care of it, to not consume herself with it, to sort of reduce the stress that she was experiencing. But, so yeah, definitely. Cardi didn't want to sue. That wasn't the first avenue that she took. She tried to reach out to, the defendant first and have her, take it down or try to reason with her in terms of reducing the stress on her, but the lawsuit was eventually the course of action that had to take place.
Let's talk about the cross-examination of the doctor, and what did you think about the cross-examination, and do you think it had like a impact on the refuting the testimony of the doctor?
I don't think that it refuted the testimony of the doctor. I think that they did attempt to make some significant points, one being that it wasn't mentioned in the summaries that she had done that there was that Cardi B was suicidal. That was significant testimony throughout the trial and during the doctor's testimony that Cardi B was suicidal. But on the rebuttal, Cardi's counsel did a very good job of sort of reeling that back and explaining for the jury that there was a whole risk assessment done on Cardi B, which is something that isn't typically done unless somebody is suicidal. So there was specific documentation related to that, trying to reduce any doubt that might have been caused by what the defense was able to pull out.
So basically, the summary that the defense put up for the jury wasn't everything that was happening with Cardi in totality. There was a supplement to the analysis.
I can't say it was a supplement, but to give you some sort of legalese, they did a good job of letting the jury know that it's circumstantial evidence. They can weigh it however they want, and it's not conclusive one way or the other. It didn't necessarily need to be in the report that Cardi was suicidal. There was other documentation that supports that.
And she left the stand, and the plaintiff rests their case. Let's talk about the next witness, who is Tasha K. Tasha K took the stand, and she was being examined by her attorney, Olga, and her last name slips me, but her name is Olga. She's the only female counsel.
Yes.
Can we talk about the Tasha K's starting opening and her explaining her background and so forth? Let's just go into her testimony, because we had probably about 30 minutes of testimony before we broke for lunch.
Yeah, so Tasha K did take the stand today. It was, I would say, very uneventful. We didn't get too much into the meat and potatoes of her testimony today, but I think the significant points to note out were it was very difficult for opposing her counsel to get through the testimony. There was several points where objections were made regarding the line of questioning being leading, which from a legal perspective is quite unusual for the beginning foundational aspects of the questioning. The judge even commented on it at one point that it was sort of inconsequential to lead her at this point, but encouraged counsel to stop and not do it again. But it happened several other times to the point where they had to take a brief break and read an instruction to the jury, letting them know the significance and what was going on in the courtroom at the time and why there kept being objections regarding leading testimony.
So as an attorney, and you see something like that happen in front of a jury, what impact does that make in the eyes of a jury when a judge has to admonish an attorney doing something like this?
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. There's no one way or the other that it might lean, but there is strategy in objections. There's strategy in being able to put on a seamless case. So to that effect, they're definitely not putting on a seamless case.
Right.
There's definitely a lot of interruptions and not ones that are necessarily in their favor from a legal perspective.
Right. I can say this, that when you see these type of bumps in a testimony and then the interruptions, it raises the jury's concern. The juries typically want to just hear the information. And, I know you talked about strategy, but when you see things like this happen, does it work to the benefit of the defense, or what do you think?
Again, it's hard to say. A jury can pick up on little pieces.
Am I leading you?
A little bit, yeah. A jury can pick up on little pieces of information that an attorney might not think is consequential, and they might run with that or hold on to that or stop listening at any point. So it's really, really hard to say, and you can't predict how a jury is going to turn out. But when you are preparing your case, you try to create a story for the jury that is going to be seamless. the less interruptions you have, the easier your exhibits are to show, is better, because it's going to be, like when you're reading a book, you don't like a lot of interruptions. When you're watching a movie and there's all these commercials, you get slightly frustrated. It's very similar. You're putting on a story for the jury, and anytime there's interruptions, it's harder for them to follow.
Absolutely. So, guys, as I said, we are on the lunch break, and I have the incredible legal mind of Britney Dobbins, and I think that this case, while it was projected to go to Friday, I don't see it going to Friday. But unless there is, the witnesses. Well, let me ask you another question. Mm-hmm. During pre-trial, pretty much one of the things, your witness list, and you can't bring witnesses in if something comes up like today. Is it typical that a judge will allow a witness to come in that wasn't a part of the pre-trial?
Typically, no. You have to make your witness list and your list of exhibits beforehand. There could be some unusual situation where they open the door for something, but that would have had to occur already in the plaintiff's case in chief. So, anything can happen, but it seems unlikely that something new would be added at this point.
And my last question: you saw Ms. Keeby on the stand. How would you describe her demeanor?
She takes authority very well. She tried to command the witness stand, and kind of make it her own, which was interesting to see. But overall, she's had a lot of instances where she, has fumbled with the mic a few times. She has been, it's been requested several times that she slow down when she speaks, not only by her own attorney, but also by the court reporter. And so, like I said, it doesn't necessarily go one way or the other, but again, when you're putting on a case, how seamless it is, and how you come across to the jury, the more seamless that is, sometimes the better. So it definitely is notable, and does seem a bit awkward and a bit fumbled, but we'll see how she adjusts as she goes on.
As an attorney, preparing your client to testify, is demeanor and is all that discussed on trial preparation, how you convey your answers to the jury? Do you discuss this in trial preparations?
No, not necessarily.
So you just put a witness on the stand?
No, you try to prepare your witness for what is going to occur. So you let them know, how the trial is going to run. You might give them some test questions to see how they respond, but really it's the witness's time to shine. You just try to prep them for that the best that you can by, giving them a tutorial. Depending on how sophisticated the counsel is, depending on how what their resources are like, sometimes they might do a whole mock trial beforehand, but we don't necessarily, it varies what kind of prep you might do with the witness.
Absolutely. Well, Ms. Dobbins, I want to thank you for giving your obviously blow-by-blow account of what's occurred in the courtroom. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed Ms. Dobbins' legal mind and how she's covered this part of the defense's case. I have deferred this part of the coverage to Ms. Dobbins for a number of reasons, but more importantly, I just want her to provide her legal mind to how the defense is doing, as well as some of what the plaintiff has done. But for the most part, I think that this case will conclude pretty soon. But once again, anything can happen. I'm Dennis Byron. We have Britney Dobbins here outside the federal. Make sure you follow Miss Dobbins at
B Dobbins, DOBBINSESQ, that's on IG.
Aren't you one of the top lawyers under 40?
I have been recognized by the National Black Lawyers as one of their top 40 under 40, as well as the National Advocates. In an unrelated area of law, I also practice employment law, so I've been recognized by them as one of the top 20 employment lawyers in California.
Okay, and you also are versed on copyright as well.
That's right. My area of practice, or what I focus on, is music law. So I do a lot of copyright litigation, as well as some breach of contract and defamation. My most recent trial was defamation.
There you have it, guys. We come in with the heat, even in the cold. I'm Dennis Byron outside the federal courthouse in Atlanta, where in the next 10 minutes, trial will continue, where Tasha K, the defendant, is on the stand. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. One love. And by the way, hit that Cash App. I'm not, just kidding.
Chuck No Joke is in the building
Oh,
too,
my
y'all.
God. You know,
Chuck No Joke is here, man.
I
Chuck No
don't know
Joke is
this-
in the building.
I don't know
Oh,
this guy.
mom, I'm on TV. Oh, mom.
Guys. I don't know where this guy came from, but it's all good. Make sure you follow my page at Mr. Dennis Byron on Twitter and Instagram, and follow Choke No Joke, of course. I don't know where he came from.
Chuck No Joke official.
He's from the Bronx. That's the only reason why he's around me. He's from another.
Can I ask you a question
Wait,
real
hold
quick?
on. I'll do it on your channel. But he's from the Bronx.
I said her, not you.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. That's
Do
my.
you feel Josh
well,
Gaines
excuse me, sir. I'm recording. That's my expert legal. This guy's trying to hijack my legal expert too. What are we doing here? But anyway, guys, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Ain't nothing wrong with little interview hustling, but it's good. I'm Dennis Byron. We're live outside the federal courthouse in Atlanta.
Now, can I ask you, do you think Tasha K was nervous on the stand today?
I think no, not necessarily. I think that she was in her realm of expertise is in like her show. So she talks really fast to get her points across, and I think that that's.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go over here because this brother is actually taking my expert legal mind and so. Oh my God! I can't believe this. I really can't believe this, but it's okay. All right, brother. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir.
Right here, man.
Yeah,
He tried to hide from me, man. Hip Hop Inquiry, man. He trying to blow up on y'all.
Guys, that's going to be my post commentary about what just happened. I mean, this is how the guys in the Bronx do. He's from the Edenwald houses. I'm from the Webster houses. But this is what's happening. I don't know. But make sure you follow me, Miss Dobbins, and perhaps him. I don't know. I don't know. But the comments are
We
coming.
here, baby. We here.
Let me read a few of these
I'm
comments.
gonna get some eat. I see y'all in the courtroom, man.
Absolutely, I would agree with that comment, and I won't repeat that comment. He's doing too much, jumping in my live, but that's all right. Okay, guys, hold on real quickly. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with a lot of those comments there. I'm gonna agree with a lot of those comments. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. He reported all of my interview. So now we're gonna have to get our own security out here. So we're gonna have to listen, guys. I'm gonna have to bring my security out here to make, like Cardi has security out here. She has 2 big brawly bodyguards out here, and I'm gonna have to bring my security out here for the media. I don't believe this. It's all love, It's all love, but security. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you tweet this, and I hope you guys enjoy the coverage. And I really do appreciate Ms. Dobbins coming out today. And I've seen some of your comments on Twitter, but listen, we have to bring a different perspective and a different point of view, because you guys have been hurt my coverage, which has been mirrored by other reporters. But more importantly, I wanted to bring someone who has a legal mind to give that a type of analogy. But I've said bye several times. I'm going to say bye one more time. We're going to see you guys in a little while on our next break.